Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice Europe server qualifier, as we have one name confirmed now for the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice from this qualifier. And it was quite the series, actually. I was watching it in the back. That was quite back and forth.
Yeah, the Catalyst game was great. I think that was absolutely the highlight of that series.
Yep.
A couple of cheesy games in the mix as well, but our first qualifier plays Terran, James.
That's right.
What a time to be alive.
I know, man. After that last game as well with the 4-axe attack, I'm like, well, all aboard the thermal train. Let's get into this series, though. This is another qualifying match up to the top left. In the blue, it is Namshar, who was able to go through some of his Zergy opponents in the previous round. And down to the bottom right-hand corner, in the red, it is ShoWTimE for Armor Team.
And historically, things don't look too good here for the Swedish Zerg. I already mentioned it with Todd in the previous cat, but if you guys just joined us, ShoWTimE is 16-0 in series against Namshar. I think that is the most one-sided score I've seen among Europeans with each other. That is just absolutely insane.
Yeah.
35-4 in maps. It even goes as far back as like 7 months ago that Namshar took a map for the last time against ShoWTimE. It is rough. I know that they played against each other in Barcelona as well, and back then I actually spoke with Namshar afterwards. Namshar is one of these dudes, by the way. He's just super nice. So whether he wins or loses, he's always very approachable. You can always talk about his tournament run, and I think that's very pleasant. I understand guys when they are very frustrated and they don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense, but it's also very refreshing when you can always just go up to Namshar and talk to him about his tournament. And I was like, what do you think it is, with ShoWTimE? Like, does he do something that always catches you off guard? Is it just his style? And he said, honestly, I don't really know. He's like, yeah, I'm very well aware of the fact that I never beat him before. He's like, I don't really have an explanation for it. Why? It just always feels that I don't play my best when I play against him, and he always just seems to be incredibly on point.
Yeah, trying to break down the architect himself, Mr. ShoWTimE. It's difficult. He's always able to defend very, very well, and then from there just have a fantastic later stages of the game. And that's generally what we expect from ShoWTimE. He's going to be opening up the Stargate to begin things here against this 3 base that is already spotted, and then from there, yeah, it's anybody's guess what he wants to do.
Yeah, I mean, we know that ShoWTimE, we saw it already a little bit in the series that he played against NerdShow. He loves opening up with the Stargate. Sometimes it's the Phoenix first, sometimes it's an Oracle. Just get a couple of drones and have a little bit of map presence. Now, ShoWTimE is also the type of player, I've said this before, and I feel it's important to mention, that multiple times he's going to do the same thing, and you lose your Overlord to the Phoenix, and you expect a macro game, and suddenly it's not a macro game.
Right.
Suddenly he might go all in. Now, Namshar is a very different Zerg than NerdShow. Can he play the same thing as NerdShow did against ShoWTimE? Absolutely. But Namshar is also a Zerg that loves roaches, similar to Chem, I'd say. I feel like Namshar and Chem are the last roach lovers left in Europe. Everybody else is falling in love with the Hydra.
Yeah.
But Namshar and Chem, obviously from Mexico, I still feel that they've got a little bit of passion for the roach. So I absolutely expect a couple of roach warren builds in this best of 5 as well.
Oh, that can work out. And let's see if it's going to come along, as we will have the Oracle leading out after the Phoenix had already been popping about. This Overlord on the right-hand side. Gonna have a little bit of a look around. Trying to evade this Stalker, get into the back.
Yeah, with Overlord speed, you should at least always get a good idea of what you're going up against. And this time, this Twilight Consul will get spotted in the main. There's a good chance that it's going to be for Resonating Glaives. ShoWTimE has been a fan traditionally of opening up with multiple adepts to get a quick glaive. Even though I feel like he's already going to have so many adepts. I mean, if he goes for glaives, then he's going to go ultra heavy on the adepts.
Yeah, well, makes sense. Trying to save a few of those drones with the Spore Crawler production. There's the glaives that you mentioned.
That's actually, like, it feels a little bit surprising to me, but maybe he's just going to shade out way before he actually has Resonating Glaives. But by the time that he's actually on the other side of the map, by the time he really has to fight, Glaives should kick in. So ShoWTimE is going to leave his natural around 450 with, that is 7 adepts? Or 6? No.
Yeah, you're right, 7.
Yeah, I mean, 7 adepts, 450. After opening up with a Stargate as well, I mean, this is pretty damn fast. And Namshar opened up with Overlord speed as well, which is obviously not going to help him against all these adepts. He doesn't have the Banelings yet. The Hydralisk Den is not done yet. Those roaches that I was talking about, those would have been very useful right now.
Yeah, they would have. Twinlings are in production at the moment. Here comes the drone line being assaulted already by these adepts. Queen's going to try and reinforce to begin things off.
Isn't it crazy how aggressive ShoWTimE is even way before he has Resonating Glaives? He doesn't have Glaives yet, but he's already shading in. He's already doing some damage. He already got a Queen. And this wasn't the end. This is only the beginning, because now Glaives is about to kick in. He's going to send even more adepts as well. What a cool build by ShoWTimE, actually.
Third base going put up at the back as well with that Immortal on the way. And here come the Adepts once again, but there's going to be a lot of Lings extra to be able to deal with this, but now we have Glaives finished, so damage can be done.
Yep, and 1 or 2 Banes is not going to be enough. I mean, no Baneling speed either. I think he should cancel this one, but instead he's going to let it finish, and I guess it was a decent choice. As Banelings, I mean, the spreads are all right. A couple of Adepts do fall, though. I actually would have liked to keep all of the Adepts on the other side, because I think if he splits them properly, I don't really see any way how they would have died.
Looking for more damage. 8 workers gone down so far, maybe getting another Queen. 9 workers going down now. So just trying to run rampant, really, across all of these bases, do as much damage as possible. 13 workers, not too bad.
No, I mean, it's a lot, but at the same time, this was a lot of Adepts as well, right? So it would have been very weird if we would have been looking at only 2 or 3 dead drones. 15 drones is a lot. Look at the big amount of gateways behind all of this, by the way. ShoWTimE, he is still building workers, so I don't want to call this an all-in per se, but it's safe to say that he's going to follow this up with even more aggression, which I do think makes sense. I often cast games or often see games where whatever the matchup is, right? Somebody opens up quite aggressively, does a lot of damage, then doesn't do anything for the next 3 minutes. It's like, well, what did you do with all the damage if you don't follow it up with more aggression, right? You give your opponent time to recover.
My question is should Namshar be posing aggressively now towards the bottom left?
I don't think he's aware of the fact that ShoWTimE has the amount of gates that he does. I think he's expecting way more probes here as well. He's going to spot that this base has a couple of probes, but I think he expected a little more than just this. But maybe if he can get something done in the natural, it would be quite big.
Maybe. Gonna bust down that door, and already the Sentry reacts very quickly. That Oracle's gone to work on a lot of those Banelings up front as well. But here comes the Shade forward. ShoWTimE is just looking for blood. Yeah,
and this is really bad for Namshar, because don't forget, he killed pros, but he didn't kill that Nexus. So even if he survives here, he's not going to be in a good position at all. But I think it's going to be very tough to survive. Look at the amount of sentries.
He has so many force fields available to him against mostly melee composition. There's not that many Hydralisks out as well as the Queens. And just sealing off the Banelings from even being able to get through onto this composition. ShoWTimE is just going to ram this into the natural and cause so much havoc. GG.
I mean, the Prism was pushed all the way back, but don't forget that even if things would have been very dicey there in the end for ShoWTimE, he could always recall. What a beautiful ability that Protoss Race has to his arsenal right now. But ShoWTimE just continues what he's been doing against Namshar for a long time right now. Yeah. And that is win.
That was pretty clinical and clean there from ShoWTimE. Of course, you lose a little bit down towards the third, but the third, as you say, was never really his objective to hold on to when he's going for that second aggressive push.
Yeah, what I really liked about the build is obviously the build starts off very standard. It's an Oracle that tries to do a little bit of damage, forces out some Sword Crawlers, and then he follows it up with Resonating Glaives, which is not uncommon. But what I liked a lot was the timing of everything, because it was 7 Adepts way before Glaives was done, which is what I pointed out before. I was like, if he's really going to wait for Glaives, then he's going to just have a stupid amount of Adepts, you know? You're talking almost 14 Adepts. But he just went in with the 7 Adepts, already a little bit of damage, you know, shaded out to safety. Glaives finishes up, 6 more Adepts show up. So instead of 7, suddenly it's 13, while already slowing Namshar down before with that first wave of damage, that even though there were no Glaives, I mean, 7 Adepts against no units, still do pretty well.
I suppose it sells the story to the Zerg that you're waiting for your Glaives to be done, right? And they may not be ready for that initial push when you don't have it done at the beginning, and it causes them all sorts of problems.
Yep, maybe it was also a decision that ShoWTimE made. He's like, well, you know, if I see Overlord's speed, and I also know you made a couple Spore Crawlers to deal with my Oracle, and I killed a couple drones, let's not forget about that. I think I got 3 or 4 kills on the Oracle at first. It's like, I think I can just go in the first 7 Adepts, because unless you have no drones at all, you shouldn't really have any units here, and well, ShoWTimE was right.
Yeah, it was a good start from ShoWTimE. Namshar is going to have to battle back in this best of 5. Of course, reminding you that it is a best of 5, not the best of 3 situation where, you know, you one more map from here and then you're gone. Namshar has a little bit more room, but as you mentioned before, the results from their previous engagements is a bit grim for him.
And also, I mean, these players are not crazy, and Namshar is very well aware of the fact of the record that he has. Maybe he doesn't know the exact numbers, but he obviously knows that, hey, I've never beat this guy before in an official series of StarCraft II. And then you're like, all right, well, this is my day. I just beat the laser. It's time to end that streak as well. And then, you know, 6 minutes later, you're like, all right, here we go again.
Oh, no. Let's get into it. Game number 2, up to the top left in the red. 1 game up at the moment. It is ShoWTimE looking good in that previous game.
Looking good overall, I think, so far in 2018. Even though we haven't had a lot of very big tournaments yet, I feel like whenever I'm watching ShoWTimE in any of those qualifiers, he just looks legit. He really looks on point, and he looks like he's got a very good read on the game once again. But perhaps the Swedish Zerg can turn it around. Spawning on the right top side of Battle of the Boardwalk, it is Namshar.
I think someone like ShoWTimE doesn't want a repeat of 2017.
No, it was so odd, right? Because nobody really expected that, and it wasn't even like that obvious either. And we all thought with every tournament, it's like, yeah, he underperformed a little bit, but it's gonna stop now. It's gonna stop now, and it didn't stop for a little bit. It even got worse, right? Like he dropped out in, I think, in the second group stage once at one WCS event.
I think so.
This is ShoWTimE. Like, this guy wins tournaments. You know, he doesn't drop out in the second group stage. Fun players, you know, casuals, amateurs drop out in the second group stage. So it was quite crazy. I still find it weird that 2017 was such an off year for ShoWTimE, but at the same time, for WCS Montreal, which was his last chance, right, to somehow make it to Global Finals, he did kick it off with winning Challenger. And that's also odd, right? Because people don't just win Challenger. You have to be very good to win Challenger.
Or a Zerg. in 2017 for Europe, at least.
Yeah, I mean, all three out of the four were won indeed by the Zergs. I think maybe Eleza won one, and Cyril definitely won two. But then ShoWTimE did win the last one. But then obviously in Montreal, he had a lot of pressure, I think, because he had to win the entire thing. And that's all that everybody was talking about as well. But all I can say, Klaris, is that it's good to have our ShoWTimE back. Yeah, definitely is. Seeing this kind of performance coming out from him. Let's see if he can continue it on here in this series. All he has to do is win 2 more maps, and he will qualify for the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice. So he's opening up with the gold down to the bottom. Battle of the Boardwalk, such an interesting map. You know, it's crazy, because Katowice is really not that far away. It's 3 weeks away, and I'm not saying that because we're casting this qualifier right now, but in my opinion, in 2017, Intel Extreme Masters Katowice was the highlight of the year. I honestly completely agree. I loved every second of the tournament. I loved the insane amount of good players we had. I loved the open bracket, seeding into the group stage, the multiple days of action, obviously the finals at Spodek. It was everything about it was awesome. We had 6 series. I mean, live innovations. Like, oh my God, the finals, 4-3 TY stats. I can't stop talking about Katowice last year, and I'm super pumped for it. But in a weird way, it feels far away because we've got Leipzig next weekend. We've got qualifiers today, and then of course we've got the Intel Extreme Masters Pyeongchang, which also feels really special coming up. But yeah, guys, Katowice is only a couple of weeks away. It's actually ridiculous how many exciting StarCraft lands there are. In general, how long StarCraft II has been going now? For what, is it 7 years or so? Yeah, more than 7, I think. Is it really? Or maybe we're closing in on 7, but I think it's 2010 it was released. Still amazing summer, tournaments. I think. Yeah, I mean, I also feel that some of the tournaments are just getting better. I mean, the things that Katowice showed us last year, you know, with the multiple game broadcasting, the awesome tournament format, the big groups of round robin, was just like, yes, finally we don't have, you know, 8 groups of 4 players with the GSL format. It's like, yeah, that's a great format, but I've seen it by now. Anyways, let's focus. It seems like Namshar is going to be a little cheeky here. What I don't really understand is that he has a lot of drones. I think this build that he's doing, where he has a Dropper Lord, he has 4 queens. Don't get me wrong, I think this is a super powerful build, but it feels like he wants to macro behind this. Yeah, what's the follow-up from it? It's a little bit strange. I am very confused. This isn't a build that works very well with the Link Flood. A massive Link all-in. You do multiple Dropper Lords, you drop Links, you drop Queens, and you just flood the front as well. You try to break the ramp. But he's doing a 4 queen drop while macroing behind it. Yeah, I feel like it's a really strange fake out. I don't get it. I mean, he's going to force the reaction, and of course, one Phoenix is not going to kill this Overlord because he can drop Transfuseness. But there's a shield battery as well. This, I don't think it's going to be able to do much. You need to save your Overlord. Oh. Wow, this isn't getting out. Oh my God, this is a disaster. This is a bit strange. It's a disaster. And all these queens are just isolated. There's nothing they can do. Is there a full wall? I think there is a full wall. Okay, so, I mean... Yeah, he's going to have to kill a pylon. Yeah, I mean, queens are slow anyway, right? Like, he can easily kill this pylon. He can still... I don't get it by Namshar. I wouldn't have mind... If Namshar just wants to roll the dice and be like, you know what? I'm going to Link Flood the hell out of him. He's trying to save them with a Dropper Lord up at the top. And he'll Dropper Lord? Yeah, if on the right-hand side of this, he's trying to... He morphed in another one. Saving Private Ryan. That's right. And his buddy. Get him out! Get him out! I mean, it's cute and all, but this definitely didn't put him ahead. No. Wait,
we're going aggressive again?
what?
Let's go. I suppose.
What is happening?
An interesting harass coming out from Namshar that hasn't quite hit the mark.
No, and I mean, he's still losing drones. Behind this, it's also not like ShoWTimE overreacted like a crazy man. Maybe that's what Namshar was hoping for. See him drop a forge, multiple shield batteries, maybe a couple cannons. But not even that has happened. I mean, ShoWTimE is just doing his thing. And right now, Namshar is on 49 workers.
He basically greeted it with open arms and just was like, yeah, okay, that's fine. And now he's going to be able to clean this up at the back. And the response from all of this behind it is charge lots, extra Nexus.
Now the Phoenix is going to kill us for sure. This time it will not get out because there is no Wolof anymore either, so this units can help out on the low ground. I'm a little bit lost for words, James. I don't really know what we've been watching.
It's an odd one, but it's certainly interesting. I mean, I'll have that Forge going down, Archons are now morphing in, all of these units are now gone. I guess it bought some time for his opponent to not be aggressive.
Yeah, that's
58 workers.
I mean, if there's one thing it did do, it's buy time.
Yeah.
And Namshar is getting Hydras, and you know, if the Hydra count grows, he has a couple of links there as well. I mean, he bought a lot of time. If it was worth it, I still don't know, but he definitely bought a lot of time. And now this little link run by is going to buy more time as well. And this army is very bad against a big clump of Hydras. Like, it can absolutely destroy, you know, 6, 7 Hydras. But if there are like 14 Hydras at the place, but they are not, obviously, as these drones are getting massacred as well.
Yeah, those Archons did a lot of splash damage to them. 6 workers already gone down. They've completely retreated out, but they've been kind of rerouted by the extra units down there. 15 workers have gone down. You've said it before, Roddy, and we're going to have to say it again. Unfortunately for Namshar, this is a complete disaster.
Yep, and he doesn't have the Hydra numbers. He's looking for more units coming in from the left top side as well. And I think that's all he wrote for Battle of the Boardwalk. GG.
That was one of the more odd games that we've seen so far throughout the qualifier. But, you know, Namshar trying for something a little bit more wild, trying to catch ShoWTimE maybe off guard, try and throw him off his game a little bit. Considering the results that we've seen prior between these two players, get my games wrong. Overall, it's you know, it's something that you can try and throw out and, you know, throw your opponent off.
I would have liked it if he would have just gone crazy, you know. If you play Battle of the Boardwalk on ladder, you don't play it super often, even if you don't veto it. Like, I don't veto any maps, so I play it every now and then, but whenever I see PVZ and I see, like, gas pool hatch, I'm like, all right, you know, here we go. I'm not even expanding, you know. I'm opening up with a forge. I'm getting cannons because I know it's coming. And if you would have gone for a crazy build like that with 3 Dropaloids, links, link flood, I would have been like, hell yeah. Win or lose, doesn't matter. Try it once. This, of course, if ShoWTimE mishandles it and just really overreacts maybe to the queens, or he suddenly ends up losing a lot of probes, I can understand that he's buying time for the Hydras on the other side of the map. And it's really funny how Hydras work in battles against Archon and Zealots, because 4 or 5 Hydras, they look harmless, right? And they look hopeless and nothing they can do. They shoot a couple times and they die. But the moment you have like 12 cannons, you know, or 12 Hydras, then it's really that cannon that you're looking for. Every Zealot that runs in gets sniped immediately, and that's where Protoss really needs Storm. So if the Hydra ball is big enough, it would have made sense if he was able to get there, but yeah, ShoWTimE just didn't let him get there.
Not at all. ShoWTimE now 1 game away from Katowice, where we are currently located, bringing you these qualifiers. It's always fun to come down to Katowice.
It feels funny as well, right, to be in Katowice, talking about IEM Katowice, but not actually doing IEM Katowice just yet.
Very, very often when we come here, we're either in Spodek or in the auditorium next to it, etc., doing the stuff actually there. But
and then you have all the players that you run into. It's still fun, though. I actually have a good time in this little city.
Yeah, definitely is. I think, actually, for a lot of people in the European scene especially, it's become kind of almost this hub that everyone kind of comes to.
Yeah, I heard there are team houses here as well, right?
There are practice houses that are set up in some of the old town.
Maybe I should try to live the streaming life for a little while in Poland. I heard Ubers are very very
fantastic.
Yeah. All right, over here on the left top side of Abyssal Reef, we're looking at the main base of Namshar. If you guys wonder, what was that Uber joke? Claris took quite a journey in an Uber, and I think in the end you paid like 22 euros for like an hour ride or something?
Yeah, it's like 100 zloty or something like that for that distance.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's like super sick.
In America, it would have been 120, mate.
Down at the bottom right-hand corner in the blue, it is ShoWTimE. 1 game away from qualifying for the main tournament itself here in Katowice.
You know what was quite sad? If you think about Ubers and taxis and everything, there was a time where I used to live in Rancho Cucamonga.
Yeah.
And Rancho Cucamonga has an airport in Ontario, California, that is. But it's kind of a small airport. So most of the time I'd book my flights through LAX.
Yeah.
Even though when I think back at it, I did that to be nice. You know, I didn't want to bother the tournament organizers by going from a small airport. And then I would also have like maybe an extra transfer or not. But I just felt it would make things more expensive. So I was like, yeah, just do LAX. But when I just arrived in America, obviously I didn't know many people and I didn't have a car. So then I would go away for a weekend and be like, yeah, you know, I had a great weekend. I worked, I arrived in LAX, and then I took a taxi and I figured it was not going to be cheap, but I was like, you know, middle of the night is not that bad.
Yeah.
So I arrived back at my trip and I was like, you know, I had a good week and, you know, I worked hard, so that's okay. Take a taxi and it's like $274. And I was like, I was like looking at the meter, you know, while the junior was going on. I was like, I was like, this was a mistake. I was like, oh my God, like what did I do to myself?
207. I've never had a taxi.
Yeah,
like
I mean, I didn't think it was that bad. I figured it was gonna be around 100, but I was like, you know, the only person I really knew was Mr. Bitter, and I didn't want him to drive in the middle of the night back and forth because it was quite a journey. I was like, you know, I'll just take a taxi. Oof. Never again.
Oh, that's some scary stuff there. Ooh. Oh, well. Let's see how this Stargate's going to start things off for ShoWTimE. And to be honest, looking at the past 2 games, I think ShoWTimE doesn't do anything wrong and just is able to breeze through. He's looking very powerful here against Namshar.
I don't get it, because Namshar is such a phenomenal player. And Namshar is really a troublesome opponent for almost anybody in Europe. In ZvZ, he's dangerous. Yeah. In ZvT, he's very dangerous. And even ZvP, there are very few protesters who get happy when they know they have to face Namshar. Namshar pulls good results. He's like one of those very steady top 8 guys. I feel almost a little bit like a gatekeeper. You know, you want to break into the top 8 in the European scene? Well, try defeating Namshar. But ShoWTimE just makes it look easy.
Yeah, he definitely does. You're totally right about Namshar. I mean, we cast a lot of the WCS qualifiers, WCS Challenger last year, and there was runs where he would plow through the top Zergs in Europe, and that was really a real kind of standing mark for him to say, hey, well, actually, I am here in Europe, and I'm one of the most formidable players. So.
Yep, and he also makes it through like big European qualifiers of other tournaments, you know, like WESG. He made it last year, made it this year again, and those qualifiers are always filled with Europe's best players. Unfortunately, for Namshar, running into ShoWTimE is the one thing that's not good for him.
Well, one thing that could go in Namshar's favor is if he is defeated here, there's actually a lot of Zergs still left alive in the lower bracket.
Yeah, but that lower bracket is just stacked with like monstrous players. You've got Elazy, you've got Zero, and then you have Namshar as well, and they all have to duke it out over that one single spot. I think True is still in there as well.
Yes.
And look at this, Oracle. James, just Oracle flying in, a simple Oracle killing 5 drones. These are things we used to see in 2016, 2015, you know, we're like, oh yeah, 5 drones is what you're supposed to get. These days, a lot of Protoss players are happy if they get a drone. Like, I'm not exaggerating here. If they get a drone, I watch Hearthstone stream, you know, if he sends out an Oracle and he picks up a drone, he's like, oh, guys, not bad. And he's not sarcastic, it's just because Zerg players got so good in dealing with Oracles that it's hard to kill drones. Look at ShoWTimE against Namshar here. He got 7 drones so far? 8?
Oh,
is this 8 drones already?
Yeah. That's big. That's big. You're right as well, because, you know, relative to the 2016s, etc., where that Oracle would basically be designed to get worker kills, nowadays, you have so many more transitionary methods for that Oracle to be useful later on without just zapping drones.
Yep, it's Revelation. Yeah. Protoss players build Oracles for many reasons. A, it forces out Spore Crawlers, which is indirect economic damage. You may not kill the drones, but 3 drones do disappear. Yep. So that's nice. Then you have Revelation, which is incredibly useful to make sure you know what the Zerg is doing. You have some eyes on the map. Don't be surprised if they suddenly like Roach Ling all in you or whatever. Right. And of course, if you really need it, there are stasis as well. And we've seen a couple of game-deciding stasis moments over the last year. Yeah. So there are many, many reasons to make an Oracle, and there are many reasons why ShoWTimE loves opening up with an Oracle. But killing drones is absolutely not a main reason. If he gets 1, I think he's okay. 2 is awesome. But 8, it's like, okay, what year is this?
Yeah, you're right. Namshar manages to get himself a probe over at the 3rd base, but that's about it at the moment. Here comes the double Archon harassment towards the 3rd base. And what's here available? 2 Hydralisks, Queen. Not too much. Need more units to come from the natural.
Don't want to end up losing Hydras, Namshar. That's 2 dead Hydras already. These Archons just getting close. Those Queens looked very juicy too, but at the same time, ShoWTimE is like, ShoWTimE is looking at this game and he's like, okay, this is actually amazing. Everything has gone my way. These Hydra link timings that are still scary normally, they wouldn't be scary right now at all because you've lost too many drones.
Yeah.
So is there a need for me to get fancy here with my Warp Prism? Is there a need to take any risk? No.
Not really at all. Those links on the right-hand side aren't going to be doing too much. Managed to save for Archon. It was quite low on shield, so not that much health, of course. And High Templar is going to be warping in here on the right-hand side as well. 10 drones in production. Namshar wants to really start ramping up his economy here.
I'm expecting Storm like within 3 seconds from ShoWTimE. If he doesn't see like a big army right now, there is absolutely no reason for him not to get Storm. It's quite obvious that Namshar is not trying to hit some sort of a very early timing because he hasn't seen those units. And well, I said seconds. What was it? 7, 8?
Yeah, you did well. You did well. It was close.
It just makes sense, right? There are some moments where you want to delay it a little bit. If you really feel like you're about to be all in, it's now or never. You have to hold. You don't want to invest those resources into Storm. That's for later. But if you have your opponents like, okay, my opponent is actually not coming within the next 40, 50 seconds.
Yeah.
Let's get Storm. It's pretty freaking awesome against Lynx, Banes, and Hydras.
And he's well solidified as well. I think there was a stasis ward just placed at this third base. Yeah, there it is at the top. So even if Bush comes into here, he's got double shield battery, stasis ward. Storm's going to be finished pretty soon because it's been chrono boosted into. Sitting very strongly.
Now what I do like from Namshar is that he's already going high. This has obviously not been a great game for him because of the economic damage he took and everything has been scouted. He needs to do something very powerful, and going Hive is great. Great Aspire would obviously be fantastic, but I'm not sure if he can squeeze that out.
Right.
But at least he's going to be able to get Vipers, and Lurkers and Vipers are already a lot more scary than just Lurkers. And obviously if you have Hive, you can get the Lurker upgrade too. They've changed the name a couple times, so not exactly sure. Something tunneling, groove. I don't know. They're going to burrow really fast. Digging claws, maybe. Maybe it's digging claws? I don't know.
Something like that. No, for the roaches, right? No, that's tunneling claws. But anyway, it's triple upgrades coming out from Namshar across the 3 Evo chambers. So, as you mentioned, going Hive is really nice at the moment, but also going triple Evo is playing that extra little bit kind of greedy to the point where you're trying to really invest in the later stages of the game.
I mean, we're going to see the Lurker upgrade, I assume, almost immediately. I think that Namshar feels the only way I'm going to win this is getting a silly amount of Lurkers and really hope that ShoWTimE gets overconfident, overeager, runs into it, takes a couple of bad fights, and then I'm going to run across the map and win. Or then maybe I can actually go into a Great Aspire. But ShoWTimE has a lot of Hazuobs inside of him, whereas, like, I don't need to end games quickly. If I feel things are going my way, I'm just going to sit back.
Yeah, he'll be all right. He'll just sit back on rest on his laurels, really, and just weather any storm that comes his way. And it's a lot more drones being produced just then.
Oh, Drop-A-Lords. Maybe some Lurker drops?
Maybe. Where are you going to go, though, with them? There's a bit of vision already granted on the perimeters here by ShoWTimE.
Just drop 8 Lurkers on top of the ramp in the main of ShoWTimE. That'd be amazing.
If he can get there.
Yeah. We already see the Fleet Beacon and the additional Stargates. This is one more up, by the way, guys, of how opening up with a Stargate and opening up with your Oracle is that you always have one Stargate. Which means that if you feel like you need to go Stargate, ShoWTimE sees it and he's like, whoa, okay, I was hoping for some Hydra Ling. Lurkers, all right, let's not go there. But yeah, obviously it's always nice that if you feel like you need Tempest or Carriers, that you can immediately start, or the Mothership.
Even that poke forwards just then for ShoWTimE gives him kind of a good analysis of the state of the game right now. Big warping. He wants that Spire to make sure he can deny a greater Spire, I suppose.
I don't think he's gonna get it. Oh, but he's blocking his own Hydras. Namshar, that Queen. The Queen is a trade. Yeah. No, it's not gonna die. But it got very close. And if the Queen was keeping the Hydras at bay.
Yeah, it's vulnerable as well to later attacks. That War Prism's still set up at the top here. It really wants to get a few more units out, but there's Carriers in production now. Mothership on the way. Oof.
Graviton Catapult this time being researched immediately. Carriers are pretty good against Lurkers. You know what's really good against Lurkers?
What's really good?
Carrier DT.
Carrier?
Yes.
Yeah, I suppose so. It's going to be a hard time for our pro Zerg if he's not careful. Great Aspire's morphing in.
Oh, and those Hydras have been pulled away.
Yeah,
I've got a bad feeling about that Great Aspire, Kalaris.
So have I. This is not going to be pretty by the looks of things. There's Lurkers, though. There's only 3 of them at the moment. He lays Storms down on them, as well as those Banemans trying to roll in. Storms hit those as well. Oh, well, there's that ramp.
I like that. Is he going to recall right now? What are you going to do, ShoWTimE? Are you going to run all the way back? Are you going to run into the other Lurkers? I like this move by Namshar a lot. Okay, recall it is. Where is it, though? Not in the main, right? Third base? Fourth.
Oh, okay, fourth. And the carriers are coming out here. He's actually underpowered some of these buildings as well.
If the Hydra show up first, this is going to be even harder. He's going to get the Robo there. I mean, Revelation has been used. Oracle dies. Unpower the Stargate. Unpower the Stargate. One of them has been unpowered, but the other one...
Two carriers now out. It was an attempted power play here. He brings down the natural, but I don't think he's going to get the rest of this army out at all. ShoWTimE's going to gather some power with these carriers now.
Yep, I mean, all of the lurkers do get cleaned up. Imagine if he was able to unpower that other Stargate too. Yeah. Now the mothership shows up, but still though, what a move by Namshar. Look at these supplies.
That's right, man. He's dwarfing his opponent at the moment here. Is Namshar, but at the same time, he's got 19 more Hydras.
Yeah, I would actually prefer a bunch of Corruptors here.
Yeah.
Call me crazy, but I'd really like to see a bunch of Corruptors. Try to one-shot that, or not one-shot, but try to get a couple volleys off on that mothership. Try to pick away the carriers, and then you can even use Caustic Spray. I know some people will laugh at me right now, like, ha! Corruptor ability, really, Roddy? It's like, yeah, you know, if there is not that much anti-air, you can always like maneuver around a little bit. You can pull the army out of position using your Corruptors as well. More Hydras. I mean, there's always going to be more Storms, man, and I don't know.
Yeah, 11 lurkers morphing in now at the moment as well. You're right. I mean, kill off or keep a Protoss at bay with the air play that they want to go for. Because if you can shut down the carriers early and annoy those numbers, it's going to be very difficult ShoWTimE.
Of course, if you would go Corruptors, I mean, Archons become a very big problem. Look at those lurkers, though. They burrow so fast. They get a couple of juicy hits off here. Are there enough Oversteers? There's still a couple of them, but okay, one Oversteer is still standing strong there. These Archons just don't die. And these Storms do a lot of damage. But at the same time, it feels like ShoWTimE is running low-ish on units. But if you look at the army supply, he's actually still hanging in there.
Not doing too bad here. Just wants to get that carrier number up and running, get some more Archons morphed in.
One argument you can also make against the Corruptor is that he already has upgrades for his Hydras, right? The Hydras he makes are 3-3 Hydras, or at least, you know, 3-1 Hydras. He's about to get +3 missile. And the Corruptors won't have any upgrades. But Corruptors, you know, they don't really need that many upgrades if these air units don't have armor upgrades.
Going to shut down this push once again. There's a lot of banelings morphing in behind all of that as well, so Namshar really wants to push the issue here.
I want to see him make another attack into the natural. The first time he did it, it worked out fantastically.
Yeah, it did. And maybe he's going to maneuver around there. He already has a few of his units moving down towards that bottom location.
It almost feels that Namshar is too aggressive without his real army. I actually think he can kill these Archons, right? A couple of Hydras in the back as well. One Archon falls very quickly, and the second one goes down too. I think that's an alright trade.
Yeah, the Zealots come to help out, staving off that attack for the moment. But as you say, getting rid of some Archons is quite nice.
Namshar, I feel like Namshar should max out. Maybe he doesn't have enough larvae. He's been building a lot of units. Now he's maxing out. I would say just wait for a little bit. Wait for your reinforcements and then try this multi-prong.
They attack once again on towards that fourth base. Still only 3 carriers even, I should say, with that. And whoa, Hydras, where are you going?
Drive-by.
It was a bit of a passive drive-by, to be honest, for a moment. But I think they did turn around and get some damage done.
Those High Templars, though, I mean, the Storm is massive, but he just killed 4 or 5 High Templars and a carrier. So I think it was okay, even though the drive-by didn't really go very well. I mean, ShoWTimE right now is making a Void Ray. That's never a good sign. Nobody wants to make Void Rays.
Trying to get a little bit of a wall-off going on again here, but the Lings are just going to be able to run past that. And it was like, again, about 10 Hydras, 10 more Banelings coming in production, just constantly streaming across the map here is Namshar.
Damn, what a comeback by Namshar. Incredibly well done. As he's going to try to take care of these last few interceptors. Look at all those probes. There are still quite a few Banelings. He's going to force the High Templars at least 2 more. Still a lot of probes there, and quite a few of them do go down. At least the High Templars live for now, but Namshar is truly feeling the swarm this game.
Yeah, he's running over ShoWTimE here, and it all comes back to that fantastic lurker move that he made. Storms come down once again, a few lurks available to him here, but this base has been shut down. There's not much more that he has available. The mothership has to be very, very careful here, and there you go, GG.
Damn, Namshar gets one on the board, beats ShoWTimE in an official match for the first time in 5 or 6 months. A map, not a series, guys. We're not there just yet, but that's nice, and it must have felt really good, because this was not a beautiful start for Namshar.
No, it definitely wasn't. He lost, as you say, the 8 drones at the beginning with the Oracle, and then from there, it looked as if ShoWTimE was kind of just sitting pretty, very easily macroing up, doing what he wanted to do.
But then we had those lurkers just suddenly sneaking around. ShoWTimE perhaps doing what I said he normally doesn't do, and that is get too overeager. He was on the north side, he was dancing, he's dropping some storms. He's like, yeah, life is good. Suddenly you hear your base is under attack, and then You look at the minimap, and you're like, just a couple links, right? And then you look at the minimap, and it's like a wave of spikes. Like, ruff, ruff. It's like, ah, I need to get home. Very well done. And after that, Namshar, just relentless aggression. Really cool to see.
Yeah, good stuff. So we are just waiting now to get into game number 4 here between these two players. Did I hear an update there for a moment about the bracket?
Yeah, I think we're going to take a look at the bracket.
Yes, there we go. Euthermal and Nurtio. Didn't Euthermal just qualify?
Yes, that's a mistake. That's obviously Serral. Wow, Nurtio took out the laser. That's always a spicy matchup between those two, I feel. It's the king against the prince when it comes to Polish StarCraft. And this time the king has prevailed. King Arthur takes out the laser. We'll go up against Serral in what is not a deciders match yet, but we'll set him up for the deciders. Also worth noting, Bly taking out Harston.
Yeah, impressive stuff. Very good stuff. I thought I saw it in the chat that Harston won that series, but so I'm not sure what to trust at the moment.
Okay.
But we'll go with whatever is there.
Well, Bly did win. I think it's impressive.
I think there's a lot of good Zergs down there. That's one way to categorize that lower bracket right now, at least. So we're just waiting, obviously, to see if joining them will be either Namshar or ShoWTimE. ShoWTimE's technically one game away from qualifying for Katowice.
What a story it would be, though, if Namshar, the man who has never defeated ShoWTimE, he's like 0-16 in series, goes down 0-2, and then wins 3 in a row.
That would be pretty crazy. That would be crazy.
That's the story, James.
The Lurkers were able to make it work quite nicely last game.
And I honestly think that like Namshar can get himself in similar positions, but much better if he just cleans up the early game a tiny bit. Yeah. He plays so safe in a way where he gets Overlord speed, and you really feel like he knows everything. Just often gets caught with his pants down. Either way, let's see if he got a lot of confidence from that game on Abyssal Reef, as we have loaded into the beautiful Neon Violet Square. It is the main base of Namshar that we're looking at.
And down to the bottom right-hand corner here, in the red, we have ShoWTimE.
Do you like Neon Violet Square?
I do like Neon Violet Square. Do you know why?
Because of the Neon Violet Squares?
That's right.
I had a feeling.
You know me too well, Roddy.
I've actually had a couple of very funny, awkward moments. You know, one of the things I like about that like random element that has been added to this map is that like if you play Protoss vs Zerg, right, and you open up with an Adept, normally if you send your Adept out in the middle of the map and it gets surrounded, you lose it immediately. But now it feels like this is a checkpoint, you know, a safety point.
Right.
You shade your Adept in, it finishes, and even if links come, it's like, well, that's 2 links at a time that can attack, you know, good luck, have fun. You can probably shade out almost always again. So that's really quite cool, and it just it changes the dynamic of the matchup a little bit and early game patterns and stuff.
Yeah, it's like, as you say, it's like a mini Protoss bunker for you at that point. It's not bad.
No, and a couple of very funny moments between like Zealots chasing down. I don't know, they had Zealots against Stalkers here, and I was like, wait, like Zealots are really good against Stalkers. Why is this going bad? And my Zealots is just running circles around squares. I was like, oh, come on. And then when they finally have a wraparound, the Stalker blinks. I was like, ah! But it's funny stuff.
You just can't win any situation at that point.
No, you're like, let's get out of here. It's a trap. I like to talk to my units, you know.
I see that. But you are a prevalent streamer, so that's kind of what you have to do. A lot of talking to yourself, keeping it going.
You have to make a little story out of every game.
That's right.
Keep it fun.
All right, let's see how Namshar is going to be able to open up here against ShoWTimE, because it feels like he can do it. It's just almost a mental block from a lot of the previous series that he's had against someone like ShoWTimE. But he's definitely capable. We just saw him take that game.
Yep, and that was not a flawless early game. That was not one of those games where, you know, every pro sometimes has a game where it just feels everything goes wrong. And StarCraft is obviously a game of skill, but there's also a little bit of luck involved. You know, sometimes an Overlord is 1 square away from scouting a proxy or not. Sometimes a hatchery survives with 1 HP or not. Obviously, no matter how good you are, 1 HP is never skill, right? Like that's luck, and you need a little bit of luck. But Namshar didn't have that much luck in the previous game. He had a bad start, but he just turned it around. So let's see what he can do with a good start, perhaps.
Yeah, let's see. He's already getting himself a pneumatized carapace as well, so he can get the Overlord in nice and fast. There's already 2 in position to kind of strike down there and get themselves that information they need. Third base is going to be spotted as well.
It's going to be a Phoenix. This is the type of map where I think you really have to be careful of a potential ShoWTimE all-in. But maybe he feels like he doesn't ever want to all in against a Zerg that goes Overlord speed, which is quite scary, right? Because even if you have a Phoenix, if 2 Overlords fly in, one of them is always going to see everything that's you're going to drop after your initial unit. So, but at the same time, these big maps where players often expect macro games and it feels like macro games, that's where ShoWTimE can become a little dirtier than the usual ShoWTimE.
Yeah, yeah, he has some of those tendencies sometimes. And there's already a Spore Crawlers going on down at the bottom, at the back.
Yeah, that's kind of a fast robo.
That is quite a fast robo.
Maybe Twilight 2 somewhere? We'll keep a close eye on it. For now, everything is quite standard on this side of ShoWTimE. Maybe he's going to send out a Prism with 2 Adepts, which is something he really enjoys. Just unload 2 Adepts in the main. You know, one shot a couple drones, pick them up again. 0 cost, maximum return.
Extra gas on the way as well for ShoWTimE behind all this. So taking all of his 4 gas guys across those bases. But the layer now morphing in. He's actually going for the queens to start.
I don't think
things.
that's a fight that ShoWTimE wins. He might be able to get 1 queen, but that's the absolute best he can get.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, it's cute. He gets the queen. But, yeah.
But why is he instantly focusing queens?
Okay, Twilight, extra gate.
Do we get more gates? Why is that probe going down to the hidden base? Is he making a pylon
Maybe
down
he's
there?
going to go super heavy on the Archons this game. Maybe he's like Archon Zealot and he wants to go super heavy on Archons.
There's the pylon down at this hidden base. And then, well, hidden. Oh, wait. That probe is in position for a Nexus.
I kind of feel that this is a mass Archon build. And he drops the Nexus.
This is what I was expecting.
No, because I don't think ShoWTimE needs to take this base if he really wants to play a macro game. And it's actually quite bad because you have so few minerals to work with.
Right.
And you need those minerals for the extra gates, for the extra Zealot. So I kind of feel that we might see him be very aggressive and just stay on the 4 gases that he has. Maybe even go double Prism, you know, double Prism, mass Archon. That's okay. Extra gate, James.
Yeah.
The gateway count is going higher and higher.
I've enjoyed builds from Protosses that you use that pocket base down to the bottom right-hand corner to hide gateways down there. Because it's oftentimes, once you pushed off of the original Overlords, it's not easy to get back there and see what's going on.
So there we have. The only thing I'm missing is a second Prism. I would love to see a second Prism here. With this build,
Yeah.
I think a second Prism would be gold, would be absolute cash money. Let's see if Namshar can pick up on these things quite quickly. That Phoenix is still going to be very annoying.
Oh.
Good job there, lifting that Queen. That is a dead Queen for sure. Where are these Hydras is probably what Namshar's asking himself. We see a Stasis go down as well. Damn, look at... Oh! Trapped! At least, well, 1 Hydra.
Well, yeah, I mean, 1 Hydra's 1 Hydra. So, gonna have to run away for now. Imagine if he'd have got all the Hydras. That wouldn't have been too bad.
No.
It's only 3 or so, I suppose.
It's still decent, right? That one Phoenix was definitely very useful there. Okay, now ShoWTimE is actually getting Storm. Interesting. And a Forge. Why that many gateways that early on?
Not sure. I guess. What would he be anticipating or trying to go for aggressively himself?
Or maybe he was very worried about the Hydra Ling all in.
Maybe.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
This doesn't feel like the best map for it because it's such a long map, right? So it takes a long time for Hydras
Yeah.
to run across the map.
Takes a while. There's only that real good choke point at the front of your natural, especially if you're sticking to the third base of this pocket down at the bottom right.
So the upside here for ShoWTimE is that obviously he has a very safe base. He's going to have a lot of gas. We've got Archons in the main, but no Prism. Prism went down. No.
What's up?
Oh, sorry guys.
Okay. Whew.
Didn't see the red dot on the minimap.
False alarm, false alarm.
I've got some lights in my face. Missed call. You know, happens to the best of us. Just ask the people of Hawaii.
But you're the best, Roddy. That's fine. I appreciate that. We're going to have the space set up on the 4th as well. Link's trying to flood in.
Ooh.
Could get high Templars.
That's 2. That's very nice. He gets all 3 of them and the Stalker.
Oh.
And he even gets the wraparound on the Immortal. What a run by. And the Adept. What?
What just happened?
That is the most successful little Ling run by that I have seen in a very long time.
Yeah, that was amazing. Well, now they're dead, but they did what they needed to do. Namshar.
Namshar must feel good. He's like,
Yeah.
it's happening, guys. The comeback is happening.
I've got this, guys. Don't worry.
Oh, and those High Templars are so important, guys, because those are the first ones you warp in. Those are the ones that bank up a lot of energy.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that not have 1 storm, but 2 storms each by the time that the first big fight happens. And ShoWTimE just lost those. That's the potential of 6 storms that he's going to miss.
So Namshar set himself up an Overlord wall around his main base to keep spot on what's going on here. So he should be able to anticipate moves in. There's already 4 Hydralisks waiting for an Warp Prism to come in if needs be.
What is in the middle of the map? I guess that's the Oracle,
It's
right?
the Oracle, yeah.
So Baneling's speed is about to finish up. Namshar is on 74 drones. He does have that lurker then, but this game we don't have an infestation pit just yet. A couple of Zealots are going to be unloaded in the main, but 4 Hydras, good micro there as well by Namshar. Pulls the one hurt Hydra back. Clean game by Namshar, man.
Yeah,
really
definitely.
clean game so far.
Opening up rocks in the middle of the map now, looking to just continue some kind of strength across here, make it easier for these units to transition between base to base and put pressure on.
There's one thing I'd love to see a little bit more from Namshar, and that is Overlord Baneling bombs. Because he gets Overlord speed, and I feel if you open up Overlord speed, it's always worth it. You know, just drop 3 Banelings, 2 Zerglings. Those herd probes are going to die then as well. Even if you don't have +2 melee, I still think it's very useful.
Yeah, give it a go. Give it a go. You can always mix it in. It's not too much of an investment at this point once you're operating across 4 bases. Getting
74 workers.
Yeah.
These lurkers are going to get quite close to this ramp once again. There are cannons though, so they're going to provide vision. Shield Baron is going to keep the cannon alive for a little bit longer. Awkward spot to engage for ShoWTimE, but a great spot to storm.
Yeah, definitely. Got a lot of damage on those lurkers at the moment. There's no transfuses or anything of the like for them at the moment. There's even a few cannons at the front still available, but he wants to focus that down with the Lynx and the Hydras. That goes down. Even though those lurkers are revelated at the back there, it still brings down a little bit of defensive structure here for him.
Oh, he's going to bring them even closer. Whoa. Those are some really good storms on top of the Hydras, but there aren't that many Zealots left. Does ShoWTimE have enough to clean up all the lurkers? It seems like he does.
Yes, pushing it back with those Archons and the Immortals staying strong, staying true to their name. They will stay alive. A unit's coming through the middle of the map, but I don't think Namshar's going to get a good follow-up attack just yet. Damn,
it almost feels like ShoWTimE lured them in, right? He's like, oh, I'm really afraid, I'm really afraid. And then the Hydras are like, oh yeah, you're really afraid? So they walk up that ramp, they go to the right side, and the ShoWTimE is like, ha, you're locked in. Hotel California, you can check in, you may never leave, storm, storm. And all the Hydras disappeared, and suddenly those lurkers were quite exposed. But don't forget, guys, that Namshar is richer, and you know, ShoWTimE did just use all of his storms. Yeah. Are those 6 drop alerts?
That is true. There's 6 of them. I guess he's going to send it down towards the bottom, send a drop in whilst putting pressure on up at the top here. If he can do that, that would be fantastic.
I don't think this is a place where he should be fighting, though, with like 3 cannons. Yeah, just go for the main. Yeah,
just kind of feign. Feign up at the top. Try and do something down at the bottom.
Oh, he is fainting like a heavyweight. Doing a good job.
Yeah.
These Spiners are going to get picked up as well. The one drop in the main, if those Hydras would morph into Lurk. I mean, he can use it as a rescue ship now as well. Yeah. He's going to go for the run by. He can potentially pick up a couple of these Hydras, but ShoWTimE does, Namshar does have to be careful that he doesn't lose too many units, because he's rich, but so is ShoWTimE, and if he doesn't start killing stuff, suddenly he's going to go up against the invincible army.
There's a lot of Hydras pushing on towards his 4th base as well up at the top, doing a lot of damage, and the Archons and the army up there isn't really doing too much against this.
And it seems like most of the storms have disappeared. Namshar has been dancing back and forth for so long that he burned up all the storms. I think maybe 1 storm available there, but all the cannons and shield batteries are gone. But it wasn't for free, that's for sure.
And those units did not have an escape mission going on.
And now he's going to go for the main, I think. He's going to bring everything.
It'll be good if it's not spotted.
I would love to see a couple lurkers as well, though.
Yeah, they'd be really able to hold on to, especially a lot of the choke points that are naturally made in the main.
Is he going to spot the drop lord? He's quite close. Oh, wow, Namshar gets the snipe. 3 Zealots inside of it, right?
Yeah, and now there's nothing to be able to spot this.
I would still love to see a couple lurkers, though. Oh my god, Namshar's just going to go for the mass multiprong of Hydra Bane.
This is actually going to be crushing. I don't know if he has enough army to deal with this in 2 fronts.
I mean, if ShoWTimE recalls, he's going to lose his 4th base. Oh, look at that pylon! Those 2 pylons are so damn important.
He's going to take this fight up at the top. The Archon's going to end up dying. And the Immortal as well at the front, very, very close to death. Storm's going to land up, but the entire base in the main is being ransacked by the Hydras at the moment. The Zealots and the Immortals are trying to come back and help this out, but already underpowering a lot of that.
And he's going to pick up the Hydras and get the hell out of there, because the Immortals and Zealots cannot kill Drop-A-Lords. At the same time, Namshar didn't do that much at the 4th base. He did a little bit. Don't forget, there's still that 1 Phoenix. More Zealots being warped in. I would have actually liked a few Stalkers there, perhaps, but maybe he just feels like, no, he just wants to kill these Hydras once they unload 1 by 1.
And Namshar is making ShoWTimE run the gauntlet at the moment with these multi-pronged attacks, just constantly putting on the pressure, and he's just trying to find angles wherever he can.
Damn, how did he rebuild the fleet beacon so fast? Because the fleet beacon got cancelled in the main. Did he accidentally make 2 of them or something? Because that feels way too fast.
I'm not sure, but there's going to be the Lurkers burrowing up at the top here with the storms landing on them. One of the Archons already falls, likewise so does the second. That's so many Hydralists. More storms come down on this army. I think it's going to be able to break through a lot of this force, despite the storms continuing to land.
Only 2 Archons remain, though, and both of them are actually very low on HP. A couple of... Oh, look at that entire army is actually so weak.
Yeah.
If Namshar can just get a few volleys off of these lurkers, everything is going to disappear. There goes 1 Archon.
Yeah, I think the Hydralisk got dropped in the main base as well while that was going on. He cleaned up the majority of it.
I think the fact that the gates were unpowered really hurt ShoWTimE because he's floating a lot of gas. He would have loved to have a few more storms available, a few more Archons, but he's still going to push this back.
I can't believe he's holding, because the thing is now is that all of the focus from Namshar is on this one angle, and everything elsewhere has been dealt with. I can't believe he's held.
Is Namshar saturating the gold? I feel the gold is not fully saturated, right? Can we take a look at the gold real quick of Namshar? Is he mining of it?
I think it's got 12 workers. No, 8 workers.
Okay,
Damn.
so he definitely needs to transfer a couple. And yeah, I mean, I think he even needs 1 more base. I'd love lurkers on top of that ramp of the main, man. The main is often empty.
Yeah.
If you got some lurkers there, that's a massive choke point. It's very hard to get into.
Stalkers are going to be warped in the main base now for ShoWTimE to try and shut down this Dropper pressure that's been going on. Get a few volleys off, almost killing 1, but not enough.
Couple links as well. That's actually quite annoying.
Yeah.
Now, once again, Immortals are going to have to help out, or more additional warp-ins at home. These Stalkers are actually quite expensive for a broke Protoss, and he just lost 4 of them or something. Maybe Namshar can even save a couple of these Hydras. Once again, he's going to unpower the gate. At least 1. I thought maybe 1 more.
The gateway is singular as we continue on. So, yeah, he doesn't do too bad there. Setting up for another drop. Big army amassing up at the top as well.
I love this game, James.
Yeah.
This is awesome. This is so back and forth.
It's crazy.
It's really hard to call it because every time you feel that ShoWTimE has stabilized, he suddenly takes a little more damage than you want him to. And every time you think that Namshar has broken the ShoWTimE holds, and you know, it's just so damn hard to call.
It's going to have to be the multi-prong that continues for Namshar here, because I think that the main force, the main bulk of ShoWTimE's army is really gathering a lot of pace. And this is going to be another attack into the main here, shutting down some of this.
Oh, that's a great position as well for these Hydra. Zealots are not going to be able to get the job done.
Storms hit the army up at the top as well.
Yeah. This time I think a lot of these gates are going to get unpowered unless he just wants to chase the Zealots, but I would definitely go for the pylons here. Going to try to clean up. Oh, that's the money storm if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, not paying attention to it because he was looking at the army up the top here was Namshar. There were still storms hitting down on this, and this army for ShoWTimE is still quite strong, but that's a lot of lurkers.
This fight has been going on for the last 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Namshar's actually floating a little bit of money. I think it's because the gold income has really finally kicked in. That's a lot of lurkers, and is there a proper end to the lurkers? Well, if Immortals get close enough, the answer is yes, but can they get close enough? High Templar died there. 2 lurkers. And Immortal gets picked off as well. Namshar is getting awfully close to a very pivotal point of ShoWTimE's defenses.
Yeah, there goes the storms right now onto some of those lurkers that are burrowed. The Banelings try and roll on through, but they don't really connect with anything. There's still a lot of Immortals as well as Archons here, also just being cloaked up and causing a little bit of a nuisance. The Overseer is still there, keep an eye on it, but it doesn't matter. He cleans up, and he takes a supply lead, does ShoWTimE in this game for the first time in a long time. Admittedly, Namshar just rocketed over that, but ShoWTimE's surviving.
The Banes just almost didn't do anything, right? The Banes didn't get close enough to the High Templars. All of them got stormed. Now 12 more Banelings, but 12 Banes, is that even enough?
He's going.
I don't think that Namshar can keep this gold base alive. He doesn't have the Hydras anymore. He lost almost all of his lurkers. I think maybe he lost all of them even. I don't think there's an answer against this Protoss army.
If ShoWTimE wins this, I cannot believe what we are watching. Gold base now has been evacuated. ShoWTimE is going to plow through that base and even storm the Hydralisks coming in. They can't do anything.
This man is unbreakable in this matchup at some games. I mean, he's going to lose a couple Archons here. He loses actually 3 of the 4. Has to be a tiny bit careful. It's going to be hard, but killing the gold is so massive. He's going to find that base on the north side of the map as well. With storms, it's so hard to chase the Protoss army where there are still a couple of storms available. I love those storms. Those storms just keep that army away. ShoWTimE can kill this hatchery, and he can always recall out if he feels like he has to.
And he doesn't even need to really at this point. I mean, he could just keep fighting this if he wants to. The Immortals could do ample damage. Here comes Zealots in from the right-hand side as well. There's a few lurkers morphing in, but they're going to be caught in no man's land at this point. He really desperately needed as many units as possible to fight this. More High Templars!
That one Phoenix has provided so many kills. I mean, what kind of an assist guy is this, man?
Oh my god.
He has 0 goals, but he's got 37 assists throughout the season. He has lifted Queens, he has lifted Lurkers, he has lifted Hydras. Very well done there. And
There's nothing left.
I think that's
Oh
it.
my god, GG ShoWTimE is able to pull the rabbit out of the hat and qualifies for Katowice.
Unbreakable. Under so much pressure, but somehow kept it together, stayed composed. Obviously took damage from time to time, but just hang in there as a champ.
Very long time ago have I seen any kind of hold quite like that for as long as it was. And when you think about it, Namshar brought his absolute A game when it came to aggression, just constantly hitting left and right, left and right. If he couldn't defeat ShoWTimE in that situation, well, how can he defeat him?
He had a lot of good drops as well. I would have still loved to see maybe a few lurker drops, but at the same time, if you do that, it's very expensive. And if he recalls into the main, he can be right on top of the lurker. So maybe that's why we didn't see any of that. It really felt from time to time Namshar was doing almost everything right. He was pulling ShoWTimE out of position. He was trading back and forth, burning all that High Templar energy. And ShoWTimE he never ran out of steam.
I mean, as much as Namshar must be thinking, how do you kill this guy? ShoWTimE must be wiping the sweat off his brow after that game. Of course, he had a game in hand, so he technically wasn't eliminated even if he, knocked down to the lower bracket, even if he lost that. But to win that game.
Amazing. Amazing game there. It felt like 8 minutes of almost non-stop action. Yeah. It felt like a TVZ, guys, for all you PVZ haters out there. Where they say TVZ with the parade pushers and the never-ending fights, that's awesome. And the drops, well, guess what? PVZ's got it too, guys. That was great.
Yeah, apparently. So that is ShoWTimE. Congratulations to him qualifying on through to the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice. He has so far qualified alongside UThermal, who is up in the upper bracket as well. And now that means we have a lot of Zergs down in the lower bracket. And I confirmed on my bracket that it was Harstem
who beat Bly?
That beat Bly. So that is also Harstem kind of surviving down there so far against all the Zergs.
So it's a Protoss against a bunch of Zergs.
And that's pretty much what we're in for down there.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, so Harstem is the last man standing. That's not a Zerg. Congratulations to UThermal and ShoWTimE for being our two players that qualified through the upper bracket. Yep. They will get seeded directly into the group stage of Intel Extreme Masters Katowice. Once again, players that get eliminated from this qualifier, it doesn't mean we won't see them at Katowice. They can obviously play the open bracket, but getting seeded directly into the main tournament, A, you don't have to go through the open bracket, B, guaranteed money, C, knowledge of your opponent. So obviously a very big deal.
Absolutely. So that means now we're going to go take a short break here. And when we return, we're going to go down to the lower bracket as there is one more spot available for the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice.